Well, hello there, everybody. Yeah, getting a little bit head start because there's some pretty wicked weather out there. That's all I got to say. It's yeah, the electrons and protons, they're a moving, and so if you hear the thunder, um, apparently they're really catching it just south of us. So we'll just keep it down there because we got favor. Speak favor over us all, favor over the weather. And you know, nothing missing, nothing broken. I mean, either it works or it doesn't. And I think in a lot of cases, the faith has a lot to do with that. You know, faith can move mountains. I've seen it. Yeah. Uh, because it's inside me, it's like, you know, I didn't, when I look back on the day and I think about Norman Vincent Peale, who else back in the day, uh, just Zig Ziglar, motivation, positive motivation. But the thing about it is, they took all of that from a well-established principle that you could say either belonged in mysticism, because I think that's where it comes from. I mean, you think about a human having the audacity to believe that that human can literally call something that be not as though it is. A powerful shit, man. I don't care who it is. And in one way or another, you and I are living either in the master of all mind fucks of all time that have called something in that we look back and a world that has gone freaking insane. There's no common sense. There's just nonsense. But yet, in order for that nonsense to exist, somebody, well, I don't know who, had to call this into being. And if it is, in fact, like the Monarch project, which we'll get back into, says that we've all been more or less hypnotized. So, in essence, we are creating what someone is saying that does not exist in the seen, but in the unseen, but calling it as though it already is. Now, that's magic. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, get right off to the stop. Hello, everyone in the chat room. Again, speaking favor, and thank all of you for such the kind comments with uh, my dancer passing. And I'll just say this, if you were to look at this in a statistical perspective, and you can go back and read the comments for yourself. Amazing how many of us have shared the same experience, the same path, maybe in different variations, shades, but nevertheless still the same. And it's really interesting that you see when you look at a potential population, they say of 8 billion, and then you begin to look at and extrapolate from that how many people actually have pets, and then out of those who actually have pets, how many have actually experienced in the death of that pet where that pet had really bonded. And you look at the numbers, and even if that number is 10 million, it's still a small percentage of what other humans experience. And it is something because I think in a way that told you it's booming. I got my phone right over here, and if you hear a siren in the background, I'll be cutting this short. But anyway, we go on. But it's again, I just want to say thank you because we really are favored when these beings, of which I think they're as sentient as we are. In some cases, they're a lot smarter than the humans I have met, even the gods. Um, yeah. So been quiet in our house, and we do have Lynn's daughter's dog, and So he's kind of sensed it as well. Like I said, I'm looking over here and going. So let's see the chat room. It's Rick's birthday. Well, happy birthday, buddy. I know there's some other elderberry. It's a sunny day today. Better wear a hat. It ain't here. There you well, got very interesting colored clouds. Hey, Carol, what's up? Deborah, how are you doing, my dear? Thank you. Such, yeah, I can't say thank you enough. Who else is there? Linda Espinoza, how are you? Good to see you as well. Ruby, what's up? And Gilbert Smith, how you doing, brother? So, kind of getting into this thing, I just thought I'd share this. Um, we're in times of where financially it's difficult for a lot of people. And things happened. When you live and exist in a debt structured existence, and that's what we live under, a debt structure. Um, the rules on how that works is kind of weird because it seems to work for a few minority few. And then there is the greater percentage that struggle to even, float water. And it's interesting. I mean, I spent much of my life pontificating that is that, well, then how do those rules apply? But here's what I do know. Um, your individual faith can be exercised, and you can exercise your faith to a degree that far exceeds those around you. It is those few who understand this mystic principle, it's people. The reason why people don't believe it because they don't believe it. They don't believe in themselves. They don't understand faith. They don't understand the mechanisms because it's been hijacked by religion. But if you extrapolate out the religion and you look at the essence of what you have, it's much like what Jenny was talking about. If you want to do it, just do the energy exercise. But your faith can be exercised and it can become to a point where it's on autopilot. Because once you know a truth and it's been tested, it's been challenged, and every time it works, what is that? I would say that would be the essence of truth of some nature. And I'm passionate about this. And when I see people that are looking to have, in some cases, just a break on where they stand in the whole financial system of things. And you can't ignore finances. It's here. It's how it works unless you want to become a hermit. And, I hope you've got your survival instincts and understand much more to be a successful hermit is a very wise individual, male or female. Think about it. But we're in this time, we're in this age. So faith, and it's what I learned by all the greats. As I look back, and it used to be really, really popular in the 80s and early 90s. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Again, Norman Vincent Peale. These were sound principles of what can build, calling those things that be not as though they are. Now, one of the things I know about finance and money, your very existence is being traded every day. You are in the actuaries of how every nation measures people. There's this where they trade people. You and I. Every nation participates in this. And my point to this is you can, there was a time where I didn't have two nickels to rub together. Now, I have always been a giver. I was a tither all the time. Um, and I understood the seed time, harvest time. But yet there were incidences what happened where you would really hit a valley. And one of the things I came to realize and know that there is something so valuable that most people don't understand, and that is your time. You think about how it works in this modern age of so-called communication. We're always being bombarded by fantasy ads. And what I mean, every ad is basically a fantasy. Doesn't exist. You got the pharmaceutical industry that is the number one advertiser in the United States. The United States is one of the I think it's the only nation that allows pharmaceuticals to push their drugs. You know, Steppenwolf had it right. God damn the pusher, man. Well, God damn these pharmaceutical companies. They're pushing these ads all the time. And why? Because they want to make you to call those things that be not as though they are. It's how advertising works. Basic fundamental principle. And they will hit certain desires, certain motions that are designed for these auto-emotional responses. How it works. So, and the point is that your time is that valuable. That pharmaceutical company, that auto manufacturer, they're paying premium dollars for prime time to put their ad out there. It's magic in a highest degree, but we just call it advertising. Yeah, right. But again, and the whole point to this is the most valuable thing you have is your time. And and it's true. I did this. Didn't have anything, but I knew the value of my time, and I would mow my neighbor's yard. Actually, both of them. And I did it as a seed principle. I sowed my time. And you can put whatever value you want to what you think your time is worth. But I also know by calling those things that be not as though they are, by acting upon that, that's a crucial part of it. I knew that there would be a harvest. Now, harvest comes in different cycles and in different times. Someone needs to hear this. So if you're out there and you're looking for that financial increase, which is nothing wrong with that, nothing missing, nothing broken, you have favor. And poverty is a curse. Lack is a curse. So sow your time. Volunteer your time. I mean, what are you doing with your time otherwise, right? So, and sometimes it's through those simple acts that unlock that faith within you, because it's your faith that's going to determine the final outcome. I could do this for a living, you know, but it is true, folks. And it's no bullshit. It really does work. And whether you want to call it my initiation, my indoctrination, I know, to this very day, I can quote to you Mark 11:24 by heart. I know it. I can quote to you Hebrews 11:1. I can quote to you Romans 10:20. It's there. Why? Because those were principles interwoven in a very mystical way that the vast majority of people who read that and just go shoop right over their head. But again, it's a very powerful book, and you got to understand the cats that were writing that shit, man. They were flat. There was principles there that if you grab a hold of them, they'll work. There you go. Rick says, I like chilling and minding my own business. That's that's cool. That's your reality. And that if that brings you joy and you can do what you want to do on that, hey, right on. You figured it out. Billy, what's up? Good to see you, Joe Mack. Hello, Jackie. How are you, Mr. Floyd? What's up? Jimmy, good to see you. I like Mr. Floyd Chandlings. And I look back now and I'm never again, it's quite amusing. Uh Judith Kowaba, excuse me, I always get that in the back, who has the Night Flight radio channel. We're going to have her on today, but I knew that this weather was coming in. Now, I was standing in agreement that with my wife that it would go away from us, part the water, so to speak. So far, so good. So there you go. It works. Lost in Space, how are you, my friend? Much love to you. Bonnie, what's up? Uh, Bonnie says, my daughter broke the spell. She married a millionaire. Now you think about that. What are the odds, right? Yeah. Lots of nonsense in a no common sense reality. Wow. And, it is nuts. But again, finish out with Judith. She'll be on next Wednesday. I love her perspective because she lives over in Germany, much like, Jenny. And when we bring on others that are seeing the world from a much different point of view, I mean, we're all in the same pool. It's just that, some of us in different degrees. It's good to hear that. So, we are in a time, all I got to say, we all know it, where things ain't right. I mean, they don't feel right. There's times when I've been in those other realms that, to quote Star Wars, the Ian, thank for the email, by the way, there's a disturbance in the force. And now, not even because typically you have to have that ability. I believe you can develop that ability and train it, but many of us experience it. There's more empaths in this group than in any other place I know of. Y'all have created an environment that is an environment of love. It is one that is fantastic to have intellectual discourse with. There's a mind coitus of sorts that it's stimulating. A lot of people write that and say, man, you stimulate my thoughts. You think about things. That's the point. We all got time, so we'll just have fun with this time. And when you look at a world that is just not right, it's insane. We all know this. And I see so much going on. I mean, in the midst of all this madness, I can't help but not think that, since we know the Earth's magnetic strength, that magnetopause, it's weakening. It's been confirmed by science that we've now reached the inflection point. Means from starting, actually, it was last year, going forward, we're going over the waterfall and the descent is going to be straight down. And it is said that if we are indeed about to see the collapse of the sixth great civilization, us, means there's going to be a seventh one coming up. Appears to happen that way. I contend that this realm is not what we were told, and that we, the current versions of Homo sapiens sapiens, are defective. And with this cosmological factor taking place, there is an increase of cosmic rays. We can measure this stuff. If you fly these days, boy, I'm glad I quit flying when I did. But now it's, you can actually wear, they have the portable monitors that can actually tell you how much cosmic radiation you're absorbing in these cosmic rays. The thing about it is, it makes us go cuckoo. We go nuts. We lose our ability for rational cognitive thought. And we start electing idiots, and we allow a few idiots to become the chief idiots. In the meantime, the idiots are driving us over the cliff, figuratively and literally. And I listen to both sides. Why? Well, you have to have at least a well-rounded perspective. And whatever side you to choose, I kind of go with going in the middle. It's like doing a teeter-totter. And if you're doing the one, you got to keep that balance, right? It's a great inner core strength. You ever do that? And, and we're on this teeter-totter trying to maintain this balance, but the problem is the wood is warped. That's what's happening. And there is such this fever of insanity, the right, the left. And again, I have just kind of taken a neutral. I'm conservative by nature, just am. But again, I found out the trap in political systems. They're broken. They're a broken system. They don't work. And unfortunately, the United States, we're in our decline. Like the very person who is supposedly the head of this government is in decline. We as a nation are in decline. And you would think that these so-called intelligent people would realize this, but no. And this is the thing that I noticed. We say it here all the time. Mary Wynn says love won. But love is totally absent in the vernacular of both sides. Now, one side says that it serves this God of love. The other side, I don't think they know what they do. They have their, they hedge their bets and kind of say, well, I'm of this religion. All right, But the problem with that is that if love is the answer, then why aren't we seeing it? I mean, even in the metaphysical community, you got some vindictive fucking people. I'm trying to think, you think about this where we all eventually go. Now, I don't know how many zip codes are over there, but we're all going to make that journey eventually. And I'm thinking to myself, would I want to be around those people? Hell no. It's the bumper sticker I remember, you know, back in the day, and I'm going back decades, was at the Tropicana, and you go downstairs to get out, and anyway, they had this gift shop there, and I'll never forget the bumper sticker. It says Jesus loves you because everybody else thinks you're an asshole. And what I've learned in life at this point is that if you're an asshole now, you're gonna be an asshole over there. There's this no transformation shit, you know, and even an asshole can be nice. It's strictly perspective as to what an asshole is. I do know the difference between an ass kisser and a brown noser. Depth perception. Moving on along. So I'm looking at this thing and, going, well, this is crazy. This is nuts. I mean, the United States is a police state now. Who would ever thought that? And I remember the days back in Alex Jones when I lived in Austin, Texas. Alex was just on the local cable and but holy crap, I think about what he was talking about then and what I see today, and I'm going, well, sure enough. And then I'm thinking, but this is supposedly people. And then the interesting fact in this is that when you mix in this thing that if love is the answer, then why is everybody running away from it? Today, the world doesn't want love. It doesn't seek love. It doesn't consider love. It's either this way or this way. No one has any in between. And there's no love. You got this side who says, well, we're right. And they throw the curses bombs over on this other side. Then this other side over here thinks, no, we're right. And they send back the curse. And you're going, man, this cursing going back and forth. And so I'm thinking, well, all right. If love is the answer, then why aren't we moving at all costs to love? No matter what the cost, as a species, as a society, as a culture. You find small enclaves like this where we really exhibit and show those sides of love. Love has to be empathic. I mean, if you lack empathy, right? Now, in the midst of all this, I began to think about circumcision. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, well, where the hell did that come from? Follow me on this. So, in this matrix, and this is a matrix, the overlords have this game they play with us. We call it God. And God is on our side. God favors us above everybody else because we serve the one true living God. That's how it works. And so, because this is what you hear this rhetoric, you got potentially another, with Trump coming in and who's identified, I don't know, as a Christian or Christian nationalist. I don't know how that works. But then you got the antithesis on the other side. And I'm going, that's just fucking nuts. But anyway, so it's supposedly this God of love. And the narrative is that, well, we as a nation have turned our back on God. And so we're suffering the curse. Well, I don't believe that for a second. Because here's the problem. I was thinking about circumcision. Now, if you follow the narrative and the storyline, we've talked about it so many times, that in this story, in this storybook, the myth is that this being, this male being, apparently doesn't like women. I keep saying that means God is gay. He'd be the first homosexual ever because the woman wasn't there. And all the bullshit well, no, he was joined with the female. Bullshit. I can show you in the Old Testament where he cursed that fucking female god, his wife. So let's just get real with one another. But anyway, now you got two different versions. You got the first one that where he created both male and female. He created them. Okay. And it said that found no fault. And then the world got destroyed. So then another guy comes on the scene. Now this one starts out again. This is the one who I think is really gay, but started out with creating the male. Now, so supposedly this perfect God created this so-called perfect body because Adam apparently had no defects other than he thought. We won't hold that against them. And so I got thinking about this thing, and then, you read where, I don't know, 1,000 years passes, right? And then this God comes in, and I don't know if it was the God that was the second God, or if the third God is from the second God, the next God. But then this God, it says that all men have to be circumcised. That's his mark. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't you do that in the beginning? Doesn't make sense. Now, I realize I'm of limited intelligence and perspective. I get that, admit that. I can dig that. Got no problem with that. If you're so goddamn much smarter, then fine. But I got to tell you, from my common sense point of position, it's really messed up. So we got this perfect God now coming back in humanity. He cursed the woman. So, hang on, I don't want anything to do with them, but at the men. And now he says that this is his mark for his chosen people. And he goes in great detail and says that they're not like other humans. No, makes sense. And again, it's something that people don't think about, but if you really get into this, it doesn't. So what changed? Why? Why did it change? So let's get on back to love now, because I'm going to continue with this thought. So we're going to talk about a few things here. Let me pull this up. Boom. So let's talk about love, right? Love is the drug that we're seeking of. Love is the drug that we have more need of. Love. Beatles did the thing. I actually saw the Circus Chalet with Love. Great performance. Back in the day, back in the Wynn's property, Mirage. Anyway, so love is the answer. All you need is love. A world without love. I was told that I had this entity that was love. But then it got confusing. So we're going to stop there. I'm going to go over here, because love. Now, the best description I have found of love is, and this is just my opinion as I pull this up, is, people say, well, why do you use these scriptures? Well, because it's like just reading any grimoire. You make reference to it. It's a reference book. And since I can't find an adequate comparative other definition, then I stick with the one that, they say was channeled and was supposed to be, the most perfect thing. So this is 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8 through the Amplified Bible, right? And this is important because it kind of brings out to the nonsense. So this says, love endures long and is patient and kind. Love never is envious nor boils over with jealousy. It is not boastful or vainglorious, conceited, does not display itself haughtily. Words that are not in the English language are used today. It is not conceited, arrogant, and inflated with pride. It is not rude, unmannerly, and does not act unbecomingly. Love, well, supposedly God's love's in it, but I don't know who this God is, but we'll get to that later. Does not insist on its own rights or its own way. Okay. For it is not self-seeking, it is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it. It pays no attention to a suffered wrong. It does not rejoice at injustice and unrighteousness, but rejoices when right and truth prevail. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best of every person or every situation. It hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. Love never fades, never fails, never fades out or becomes obsolete or comes to an end. And it goes on to say, as for prophecy, the gift of interpreting the divine will and purpose, soothsaying, predicting, divination, anyway, will be fulfilled and pass away. As for tongues, they will be destroyed and cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away and it will lose its value and be superseded by truth. My point is that this gives a pretty good definition, whether it's in, Bible or not. If I was to extrapolate this out and, plagiarize it and write a whole new theology or, psychology or philosophy. Now, this is what we're told that is supposedly the Christ consciousness. This, love. Now, I'll stop there for a second as I queue up the rest. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves. So when you compare that, give me 1 second, as he goes up here, give me here. Cool. Because now I want to show you something that it's all right. Work with me on this, because I keep on contending that we have no idea what this God is, who this God come from, this so-called God of love. It doesn't exist. I don't have any idea where it came from, because it just went into great detail of what love is, right? And if love is what it is, then how can you have another deity? And let me pull this up, because this is where it gets really weird. So we just read this compassionate side. Let's check this compassionate side out. So this says, for the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. Furthermore, it says, you go and provoke him. You can provoke him to anger. Now, this is in the book of Deuteronomy, and thank you, Blazing River, for bringing this up, because, wrote and says, well, it doesn't make any sense if you've got this so-called love that we're supposed to emulate and know about, then what's going on? Because it very clearly here says this God kills. This God has a rage and a wrath that is beyond comprehension. Now, in here, it says that he is going to genocide the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. We got no idea how many tens of thousands, if potentially million people we're dealing with here. But this God is picking winner and losers. Now, he goes on to say, you have to utterly destroy them. Gets into detail. Cut the babies out of the mother's womb, pick up that infant or the fetus and crush its skull. Stomp on it if you have to. This is the God of love now. I'm totally confused here. He says you won't marry them. It goes on in great detail. By the way, one of his pissed off anger, wrath movements is against the goddess of the Ashtaroth. Ashtaroth was his wife. This is the God, the Christian God, right? This is the God of love. I'm trying to make sense of this because, folks, this is important. It's influencing everything that's going on. Now, I also found it interesting as he's telling these people to go and do this. He says that I can't do this by myself. I can't do this alone. He says, I can't carry you on this. You're going to have to go down and wipe these people out. And you can go on and read this. He tells them, you're going to have to consume these people. They used fire. They threw people alive into the freaking pile of human beings at the command of the Lord your God. Now, I'm just trying to make sense out of this, because if we have a potential president coming in, and we got one now that apparently is the antithesis of it, but I'm confused, because I can show you, as I go back over here, as I pull this up, that there are direct sins that you'll be judged according to the book of Revelation. Jealousy is a sin. Now, it's interesting how theology tries to bend this, because they'll tell you, well, there is a holy jealousy and then there's an unholy jealousy. Really? Really? That's the problem. There's so much duplicity today that we don't know what the truth is. We're idiots. Recently, the actor, took a lot of ridicule, but he said the Bible is the most stupidest thing ever written. It is. It's the most imbecile thing, because you can't tell me that that this God, this Christ God, is one and the same. If it's jealousy, it says jealousy generally refers to the thought or feelings of insecurity, fear, and concern over a relative lack of possessions or safety. Jealousy can consist of one or more emotions such as anger, resentment, inadequacy, helplessness, or disgust. In its original meaning, jealousy is distinct from envy, though the two terms have popularly become synonymous in the English language, with jealousy now also taking on the definition originally used for envy alone. Now, in my time, I've known some jealous people. I can probably say that I've, in fact, displayed it within my lifetime, no doubt about it. But one of the things I know, that as you get seasoned, you should find the balance. But for instance, if you've ever had a relationship with a lover who is jealous, your life is a living hell, isn't it? They don't trust you. They question you. They have this passive aggressiveness. They want to dominate you. They want to manipulate you. And no matter how softly, carefully you walk on the eggshells, it's still going to crack. Now, I'm just applying some common sense today. It's therapeutic. It's refreshing, because it's somewhere we're going to hopefully wake up this world to realize that if this is the character of your God, you ought to change gods. Again, why are you afraid of your God? That's what it says in the book. You should be afraid of God. Well, wait a minute. But he just tells me that fear is a sin. Now I'm totally confused. Jealousy. Now, anger. If you have an angry personality, an angry person, you know that that's hell. Anger, also known as wrath or rage. And I can show you where this God has been in a rage. That's not perfection. That's not love. It is an intense emotional state involving a strong, uncomfortable, and non-cooperative response to a perceived provocation, hurt, or threat. Anger becomes the predominant feeling behaviorally, cognitively, and psychologically, physiologically when a person makes the conscious choice to take action to immediately stop the threatening behavior of another outside force. Now, my whole point to all this is this. I really am going somewhere. That's all I see today, folks, is rage, anger. I have a right, and just this impertinent, it's impetuous, it's childish. But this is what we're seeing. And my thought is this. Well, if this God has been allowed control, then what we're really going to see is its true attributes. We haven't ever seen a God of love. Humanity hasn't. Tell me the last time humanity was in love with itself. It apparently appears that we never have been. We cannot live in peace and love with one another. We're flawed. And if we're flawed, then it seems like then the gods that we have put our hope, our trust into are just nothing more than an imaginary friend. Not a friend, a fiend. Because, folks, y'all are some of the brightest, you're brilliant people. When we do get to meet, whether it be on this side or the other side, I have no doubt, we're the few, the rare few. We don't push the fear porn out. We don't come out and, we try to make sense of an insane world. It's just nonsense. But what if this is what we're seeing? Now, I was thinking late last night on this, got notes on it. So there appears to have been some sort of battle. I mean, the Sumerian tablets as much said so. And I give more credibility to the Sumerian folklore and their gods than I do the Bible. Had a gentleman send me a book. It's right over there. Great read, by the way. In the Bible, there are 5 gods, distinct gods. You'll never hear it in modern theology. Blows the whole story up. But then again, these people can't come back and say it. And so, people like Trump and Charlie Kirk and these other people who are starting this whole movement. That's why that it concerns me, because I'm going, you're getting into extremism. You refuse to even contemplate that you could be wrong. I mean, if you can't consider the fact that your ideology, your theology, your philosophy could be wrong, wow, that's pride, isn't it? The epitome of ego. And again, if you're telling me that this Christ consciousness exists, I have never seen it. Humanity cannot and is not in love with itself. I don't think we have the capacity for it. We will always go to war, which apparently emulates that would probably had something to do with creating us, making us an angry, jealous species. They'll never live in peace. They will seek love to the ends of the earth, but never find it. They will hope for it. They'll struggle for it, but never find it. Because I don't know if we know it. That was what was so touching about our pets. As I look at it, they truly teach us some. Now, some pets are disagreeable to other people. Knew a dog like that once. Knew a cat as well. You know, cats are the epitome of indifference. But anyway, it's things because it doesn't make sense. If God answers prayer, then that means he's picking and choosing winners. One person gets a financial blessing. The other person is broker than what they did. The other person gives relentlessly, but yet sees no return. And the one that gives nothing seems to get it all. Well, these are lessons for your character. Yeah, but the problem is if my character is the one that's being formed and what have you, shouldn't you work on this thing called God? This jealous anger God who says it's an all-consuming fire? I don't like that. How the hell can you have an all-consuming fire and then some white-headed dude with a beard that never saw a comb or a razor sitting on a throne with a thunderbolt? No, wait a minute, that's Zeus. No, that's God. No, that's George Washington on the U.S. rotunda of the Capitol. No love. If you got angels of war, that's what this God has. Gabriel, Michael, slew millions of people, doesn't think anything about it. Slew babies, doesn't think anything about it, according to the story. But yet you're telling me that this matrix is dominated by this prominence of this so-called entity that is exhibiting two different distinct traits that are in direct conflict. And if that are in direct conflict, then you have the annihilation theory. And if we continue to pursue this path, we're going to end up killing each other. It's like we've done before and over again. Yeah, I think she did, Blazing River. I don't know. Check, that is a good point. So we talk about this. We'll continue to talk about it. And who knows? Maybe this small enclave, this reprieve from the madness, it's what these hours are like for me. I can come amongst individuals that completely at ease with. And we have a wide plethora of opinions, views, beliefs, perspectives. Yet somehow, with those same elements that's causing the outside world to go nuts, they want war. There we go again. Hello, Zeus. He says, hey, I'm still up here. Yeah, you go, man. You go, man. But how does, if we can come to this understanding, but we're considered to be heretics, far loonies. I mean, the right doesn't want us, the left doesn't want us, because we scare the crap out of both sides. So the best thing to do is they banish us, Well, those are the explorables, Is that what Hillary said? They don't want us around. Now, there are certain groups that look at this group and say, you guys you're advancing over there. Yeah, we know it. And we're not sure we want to be in your group. Just kidding. We welcome everybody. And, but anyway, and when you think about this as well, in that book of Deuteronomy, by the way, which I studied it, word for word, chapter by chapter, read it once a year. And you want to have a real cure for insomnia? Read Leviticus. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to go, no, hell to the no, I ain't serving this type of thing. And don't talk to me about grace. Yeah. But anyway, in that book of Deuteronomy, it's the curses. You know, you got 14 verses in Deuteronomy 28 of the blessing, right? But more you fuck up and mess up one little bit, poquito, you're going to get your ass kicked because all these freaking curses come in. And then you got to think, why the hell would someone do that? Yet we're looking in the world for solutions. You know, it's Marxism, it's socialism, it's and that's how we get. Democracy is one of the worst forms of government. The Greeks and the Romans showed us that. Democracy never works. Republics, nah. Monarchies, nah. I just kind of like to do a free-forming. We can't have that. You'd have absolute anarchy. Hey, we got it today. And we supposedly have the sophistication of this so-called fabric of society, yet both sides are at each other's throats. And they lie, they deceive, they cheat, they steal, they bear false witness. But yet they'll tell you on Sunday, hey, God, how you doing? Yeah, I'm Jesus's friend. Jesus is a friend of mine, and he looks at me as my friend. And you lying son of a bitch, you lying bitch. You're Jesus no more. You know, here's a fact. If Jesus existed, he would say to this modern day version of this religion, supposedly built around them, burn it down. He'd reject it because they're all liars. But everybody lies. We're a society, a government of lies. Our religion is lies. Our philosophy are lies. We lie to one another. We lie to ourselves. We lie to children as a culture. We love lying to children. Oh, but we just want to, you know, a lie is a lie. A deception is a deception. If you're speaking a mistruth, whether it's a custom or tradition or whatever, it's still a lie. It's still a deception. It's still a mistruth. Well, you know, there's a holy lie, and then, see, there we go. Because, you know, as I have said before, show me in that book where Lucifer or Satan ever commanded one human to harm another human. Show me in that book where Lucifer or Satan ever said to kill an animal. It was all the versions of your God. But it's not in there. It doesn't exist. But yet, we accept righteous judgment. Well, I have the right to make judgment. Wait a minute, I just read in the book that says love doesn't ever have judgment. There's nowhere in that definition judgment or even the reference to judgment is ever used. None. Nada. Nothing. Zero. Okay. How is everybody in the chat room? Anyway, I'm just kind of, you know, free-forming it here. It's just because if we continue to down this road, it's crazy. It never works. Maybe we should have a thing in Congress. Mike Johnson, hello. But Mike Johnson will tell you that he serves Jesus, that he prays on his knees, and that God talked to him and told him what to do. Lie to them, deceive them. Understand there's a better and greater purpose at work here. I don't know, maybe we ought to have a congressional hearing on why is it that humans can't live with one another? Why can't we pursue love? Why isn't that Congress isn't pursuing articles and declaration of love, forgiveness? Not going to happen. Okay. No, we got love here, so I guess that works. Hey, F Kitty, what's up? Jeanette, good to see you. Carol, what's up? He would call them hypocrites. You're right, Carol. He would. I mean, I love the idea of the Jesus dude. I really do. I have a sense that I probably smoked a joint with him because I believe that every egregore can actually bring into physical manifestation, or that I can actually transcend into that plane. Maybe even dropped a hit of acid or two with him. Pretty far out guy, loves rock and roll, has a great appreciation of music, the classical. He was there when I was learning to play the clarinet and the flute and the bassoon. Anyway, I just love it. Lost in space. Much love to you, brother. As well, Lady Ellie, how are you? And died and saved me. Well, oh, that's cool. I don't know. Again, you're never going to please all the people. No one's, you're just going to meet some spirits and some people who don't like you. And I have a sense it's on the other side. I mean, so how do we reconcile that? That's the thing about, and I'm going over that's cool. That's the whole thing about this saving thing that I really bought it, hook, line, and sinker, because it never occurred to me to really think this thing out. So if this is what I have naturally, if this is how, because of whether it be conditions, environment, or whatever, that I am who I am today, my memories are all part of that. So why would I want to take anything away? How is somehow saving my soul and saving me and cleansing me of all unrighteousness and all sin? How does that work? I mean, there's things that I do that would be considered a sin across the board, but I'm going, it ain't sin to me. That's your problem. If you think it is sin, you deal with it. I ain't got that problem. The hell's that going to work? Anyway, I digress. Another thank you, Blazing River. Appreciate it. That's what we try to do. We try to give the manna, right? The rhema of the word, of the logos. Yes, I think if my Greek would be correct on that. We bring out the light of the logos, the understanding, the word. All right, folks, have yourself a great day. See you tomorrow, hopefully. And, thank you all again. I thank you for hitting the like button, the subscribe. But it's, those things are really, y'all are just some of the best people. I mean, I've known a lot of groups of people, and this one, I don't know how I ever built it. It was never the intent. But someone wrote to me and said the reason why it is that it was brought forth from something that was good. I'll accept that because every one of you are good people. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me to become a part of your reality in at least 1 hour a day, right? And keep on laughing. And again, thank you all. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. All right, till we meet again, be good or be good at it. All right.